China, a country known not only for its history, cities, and economic power, but also for mysterious and unbelievable natural landscapes, where reality itself seems to blur. This country is home to natural wonders that nature has spent millions of years shaping into forms that seem impossible. On one side are the mysterious mountains of Zhangjiajie, which appear to float above a sea of clouds. These very mountains inspired the world of Pandora in Hollywood's film Avatar. On the other side are the colorful lakes of Jiuzhaigou, whose water is so clear that logs and rocks lying several meters below the surface can still be seen. Deep within China lie enormous sinkholes known as tiankengs, so vast that entire forests, rivers, and unique ecosystems are hidden inside them. In Chinese traditions, they are also called heavenly pits. In southern China are the hills of Guilin and Yangshuo, sculpted by thousands of years of rain and wind into formations that look like something from a fantasy movie set. And then there is the Tibetan Plateau, known as the roof of the world, where snow-covered peaks stretch to the horizon. It is the birthplace of many of Asia's great rivers, and a place where one truly realizes for the first time just how vast nature can be. But the most surprising thing about this country of desert, lush forests, colorful lakes, and deep valleys is that the world knows very little about its natural wonders. Few people are familiar with its mysterious villages, magical festivals, and thousands of years old historical monuments. That is why most travelers remain limited to visiting Beijing, Shanghai, and the Great Wall of China. But today, we are going to explore a hidden side of China, a world that is nothing less than paradise. Zhijin Cave, hidden beneath the hills of Guizhou province in southwestern China, this cave looks completely ordinary from the outside, but the moment you step inside, it feels as if you have entered another world. Zhijin Cave was accidentally discovered in 1980 by a group of local scientists. It expanded over more than 2 million years without major destructive geological events, and today it is one of the world's longest caves, stretching nearly 13 kilometers. Inside are vast chambers, underground rivers, stone forests, and rock formations so extraordinary that it is hard to believe they were created not by an artist, but by nature itself. In some places, the ceiling rises more than 150 meters above the ground. Imagine a cave so large that a 40-story building could easily fit inside it. But what makes Zhijin Cave truly special are its millions of stalactites and stalagmites. Over hundreds of thousands and even millions of years, drop by drop, water carved the limestone into shapes that resemble palaces, temples, waterfalls, and giant statues. In some areas, stone curtains appear to hang from above, while in others, it looks as if a massive tree has grown upside down beneath the earth. The most famous section of the cave is the Silver Rain Tree. This rock formation, standing about 17 meters tall, looks like a glowing tree. When light falls on it, it appears as though silver branches, rather than stone, are spreading in every direction. The most astonishing thing is that none of this was created in 1,000 or 2,000 years. It took nature millions of years to build this extraordinary underground world. Ulan Lake, located in China's Inner Mongolia region, This lake looks less like a real place and more like a scene from another planet. In the middle of a vast, barren desert, a striking red shape suddenly appears. Viewed from above, it looks as if the heart of a giant creature is beating in the middle of this lonely landscape. That is why many people in China call it the Earth's heart. During certain months of the year, the water of this lake appears deep red in color. Surrounded by golden sand and dry land, the glowing red body of water creates a scene so extraordinary that it feels as though nature itself has painted a giant masterpiece in the middle of the desert. According to scientists, the minerals, salts, and microorganisms present in the water influence its color. Its appearance changes with the seasons and the angle of sunlight, sometimes red, sometimes pink, and sometimes orange. And when we see these changing colors, the lake feels like a mystery, a mark left by nature on this barren land thousands of years ago. Fanjingshan, located in China's Guizhou province in the southwest. This mountain is considered one of the country's most mysterious and spiritual places. Rising to an elevation of about 8,430 feet above sea level, it is often surrounded by such dense clouds that the entire world below disappears from view. From a distance, it looks as if a giant island is floating in the sky. But what makes Fanjingshan truly unique is its summit. At the very top of the mountain, a massive rock formation appears split into two separate peaks. And on top of each of these peaks stands an ancient Buddhist temple. What is even more astonishing is that the two temples are connected by a small stone bridge that crosses a deep chasm. To reach this point, visitors must climb around 9,000 steps. As the elevation increases, the clouds begin to fall below. And then comes a moment when the entire mountain is surrounded by a sea of white clouds. Followers of Buddhism believe that this place is a gateway between earth and heaven. UNESCO has also designated it as a World Heritage Site because it is home to many rare species of plants and animals. It is also the habitat of the rare Guizhou snub-nosed monkey. Yuntai Mountain, located in China's Henan province. This mountainous region is one of the places where nature has been shaping the landscape for nearly 1.2 billion years. The most popular attraction of Yuntai Mountain is the Redstone Gorge. Stretching for about 2 kilometers, this valley is known for its red-colored cliffs, green waters, and dozens of waterfalls, both large and small. When sunlight falls on the red rocks, the entire gorge looks like a natural painting. But the true symbol of Yuntai Mountain is its massive waterfall. Dropping from a height of about 314 meters, it is considered the tallest single-drop waterfall in China. From a distance, it looks like a thin white silk thread, but as you get closer, its roar echoes throughout the entire valley. If you visit Yuntai Mountain, you will also have the opportunity to experience the glass skywalk. However, it is not for the faint-hearted. Reaching it requires trekking to an elevation of nearly 1,300 meters above sea level, and walking across the glass bridge is a truly thrilling adventure. Fenghuang, China's ancient town, nestled among the mountains of China's Hunan province. This ancient town feels as if time stopped here hundreds of years ago. With a history of nearly 1,300 years, the town was named Fenghuang, meaning phoenix. And as evening begins to fall, it becomes easy to understand why it is considered one of the most beautiful ancient towns in China. Flowing through the heart of the town is the Tuo River. On both sides of the river stand old wooden houses, many of which appear to rest directly above the water. As night falls, the red lanterns glowing from these homes reflect on the river, and the entire town lights up in shades of gold and red. But the best way to experience Fenghuang is not by walking through it, but by taking a boat ride. As small boats slowly glide across the calm waters of the Tuo River, visitors can see centuries-old houses, stone bridges, and narrow alleyways on both sides, where life still moves at a pace that seems unchanged from centuries ago. The Miao and Tujia communities have lived here for generations. Their traditional clothing, folk music, and festivals remain an important part of the town's identity. Interestingly, the town developed during the Ming and Qing dynasties. That is why, while walking through its streets, it often feels as though you have traveled not through modern China, but into the era of an ancient empire. Zhangjiajie National Forest Park. Imagine standing on a mountain peak early in the morning. Dense clouds surround you, and suddenly, giant stone pillars begin to emerge from a sea of white clouds. Some are so tall that their peaks rise above the clouds. Others look as if they were carefully carved and placed there on purpose. But the most astonishing thing is that this is not a movie set. This is Zhangjiajie. Located in China's Hunan province, this is the place that inspired the creators of Hollywood's Avatar to imagine the world of Pandora. And honestly, the moment you see these mountains for the first time, it becomes clear why. Covering an area of nearly 480 square kilometers, the region is home to more than 3,000 sandstone pillars. Over millions of years, rain, wind, and natural erosion slowly shape these mountains into their present form. The most famous pillar is known as the Avatar Hallelujah Mountain. It is said that this very peak inspired the floating mountains seen in the film. Today, visitors from around the world travel thousands of kilometers just to see it with their own eyes. Interestingly, China has also built a glass bridge here. Stretching about 430 meters in length, the bridge connects two massive cliffs. Beneath it lies a gorge hundreds of meters deep, while transparent glass stretches beneath your feet. And that is not all. Zhangjiajie is also home to the world's tallest outdoor elevator, known as the Bailong Elevator. This glass lift is attached to the side of a massive cliff and carries visitors hundreds of meters upward in just a few minutes. As it rises, the mountains and clouds visible through its windows make the journey feel like something straight out of a science fiction movie. Chaka Salt Lake. If a list were made of places where the boundary between the sky and the earth seems to disappear, Chaka Salt Lake would be at the very top. This vast lake sits at an elevation of nearly 3,000 meters above sea level. But what has made it famous around the world is not its height or size. It is its incredible reflection. At times, the lake looks like a giant mirror in which you can even see your own reflection. At other times, it resembles a sea of clouds, creating the feeling that you are walking on the clouds themselves. That is why it is often called the mirror of the sky. Covering an area of more than 100 square kilometers, the lake contains such a high concentration of salt that salt has been harvested here for centuries. Interestingly, in some parts of the lake, old railway tracks can still be seen. These tracks were once used to transport salt. Today, the same small trains carry tourists into the middle of the lake, where all that can be seen is endless white salt and reflections stretching to the horizon. The lake is at its most beautiful during sunrise and sunset, as the sky turns shades of pink, orange, and gold. Those same colors appear on the surface of the water. Distant figures, the small train, and the vast white salt flats come together to create a scene that looks like a painting. Honghe Hani rice terraces. Hidden among the mountains of China's Yunnan province, the Honghe Hani rice terraces are proof that sometimes humans and nature can work together to create wonders that seem almost impossible to believe. At first glance, they look like a gigantic terraced palace. But when viewed from above, it becomes clear that these are not just fields. They are entire mountain ranges that have been transformed into giant stairways through thousands of years of human effort. It is believed that the Hani people arrived in these remote mountains around 1,300 years ago. At that time, farming here was considered nearly impossible. But instead of giving up, they decided to turn the mountains themselves into farmland. Generation after generation, people cut into the rocks, built up the soil, and gradually created thousands of terraced fields across the mountainsides. Today, these terraces cover an area of more than 16,000 hectares. In some places, they begin at the valley floor and extend all the way up mountains, rising more than 2,000 meters high. But the true beauty of the Honghe rice terraces appears when they are filled with water. At sunrise, the fields transform into thousands of small mirrors. Each terrace reflects a different piece of the sky. In some, golden light shines brightly. In others, clouds seem to float across the surface. And in many, the entire sky appears to have descended into the water. When mist spreads across the mountains, the whole landscape looks like a lost world hidden among the clouds. The most fascinating thing is that these fields do not require modern machines for irrigation. Centuries ago, the Hani people created a natural water management system that connected forests, mountains, villages, and farmland. And it continues to function even today. The forests at higher elevations capture rainwater, which then flows through small channels into the villages and eventually into the fields. This is one of the reasons why UNESCO has recognized the Honghe Hani rice terraces as a World Heritage Site. Danxia Mountain. The mountains here do not appear gray or green like ordinary mountains. Instead, layers of red, orange, yellow, and brown are stacked upon one another, as if a giant artist had painted the entire landscape with colors. Millions of years ago, layers of red sandstone were deposited here, and over time, wind, rain, and rivers slowly carved them away. As a result, these mountains have taken on such unusual shapes that some rock formations resemble animals, some look like palaces, and others appear to have human faces. But Danxia Mountain is famous for more than just its colorful rock formations. Many ancient legends are also associated with this place. One such story says that a great battle once took place here between gods and demons. According to the legend, the blood of the defeated demons flowed across the land, and that is why the entire mountain range appears red in color. Mount Emei, located in China's Sichuan province. Mount Emei is one of those rare places where nature, history, and spirituality come together. Rising 3,099 meters above sea level, it is considered one of the 4 sacred Buddhist mountains of China and has attracted pilgrims, monks, and travelers for more than 2,000 years. But a journey to Mount Emei is more than just a trip to a mountain. It is an experience of entering a gradually changing world. As you climb higher, the landscape begins to transform. Dense forests give way to mist-covered valleys, then ancient temples, and finally mountain peaks rising above the clouds. At times, the entire mountain becomes covered in such thick fog that it is difficult to see even a few meters ahead. The most famous location on Mount Emei is the Golden Summit. Situated at the mountain's highest point, it is known for its massive golden Buddhist statue and breathtaking views. On a clear day, standing here feels as though you have risen above the clouds. But Mount Emei's most mysterious attractions are the Sea of Clouds and the Buddha's light. For centuries, travelers have claimed to witness a strange phenomenon here. When weather conditions are just right, a giant shadow of a person appears on the clouds, surrounded by a ring of rainbow-colored light. In ancient times, people believed this was a blessing from Buddha. Today, scientists explain it as a natural phenomenon created by a unique combination of light and clouds. More than 30 ancient temples and monasteries are scattered across the mountain, Some are built in locations that can only be reached by climbing hundreds of steps. Mount Emei is also famous throughout China for its Tibetan macaques. These monkeys are not afraid of tourists at all. In fact, they are known to snatch bags, food, and even cameras from unsuspecting visitors. That is why travelers are always advised to stay alert while visiting the mountain. Longmen Grottoes. When it comes to the most incredible Buddhist sites in China, it is impossible not to mention the Longmen Grottoes. Located on both banks of the Yi River near the city of Luoyang in China's Henan province, these vast caves look at first glance like a lost treasure from an ancient empire. From a distance, the rocky cliffs appear ordinary, but as you move closer, thousands of carvings begin to emerge from the stone. Small statues, giant sculptures, meditating Buddhas, smiling faces, and remarkably detailed artwork carved into the rock make it hard to believe that all of this was created thousands of years ago. The construction of the Longmen Grottoes began around 1,500 years ago during the Northern Wei dynasty. The work was later continued by several other dynasties. As a result, the entire hillside was gradually transformed into a massive masterpiece of stone art. Today, the site contains more than 2,300 caves and niches, with over 100,000 Buddhist statues carved into the rock. Some of the figures are only a few centimeters tall, while the largest statue, the Vairocana Buddha, stands more than 17 meters high. What makes this even more remarkable is that no modern machinery was used in their creation. Craftsmen carved millions of tons of stone, using only hammers and chisels to create these extraordinary sculptures. Moon Hill, located in China's Guangxi province. Moon Hill is one of those places that seem almost impossible to believe were created by nature rather than by human hands. From a distance, it looks like an ordinary mountain. But as you get closer, a massive circular opening in the middle of the mountain begins to come into view. It appears as though a giant arrow has pierced straight through the rock. This natural arch is what has made Moon Hill famous around the world. Standing about 230 feet high, this natural arch was formed over millions of years through the erosion of limestone. Long ago, a huge cave existed here, but over time, most of its roof collapsed, leaving behind this circular opening at the center. Today, the arch resembles a full moon when viewed from a distance, which is how Moon Hill got its name. But the true beauty of Moon Hill lies not only in its shape, but also in the landscape that surrounds it. The entire region is famous for its karst mountains. Sharp peaks rising suddenly from lush green rice fields, winding rivers, and mist-covered summits make the area look like a traditional Chinese painting. If you want to reach the top of Moon Hill, you must climb around 800 steps. The journey is not easy, but the ever-changing views along the way make it unforgettable. Once at the top, standing beneath the massive stone arch and looking out across the valley stretching into the distance, it becomes clear why this place is considered one of China's most popular natural attractions. Jiuzhaigou Valley. If there is one place in China that looks like it belongs in a fairy tale, it is Jiuzhaigou Valley. Nestled among the high mountains of Sichuan province, this valley is famous around the world for its 108 colorful lakes, waterfalls, and dense forests. But its greatest attraction is the water itself, so clear and transparent that rocks, fallen tree trunks, and aquatic plants lying several meters below the surface can be seen with remarkable clarity. For first-time visitors, it often feels as though there is no water at all, and the entire underwater world is visible to the naked eye. Jiuzhaigou means Valley of 9 Villages. Tibetan communities have lived here for centuries. Today, however, the valley attracts attention from around the world because of its extraordinary natural beauty. UNESCO has also recognized it as a World Natural Heritage Site. The lakes here are not only crystal clear but also appear in a variety of colors. Some are deep blue, some emerald green, and others turquoise. According to scientists, These colors are created by the minerals and limestone in the water, combined with the special angle of sunlight. But when you see these lakes in person, it is easier to believe in magic than in science. Among Jiuzhaigou's most famous lakes, Five Flower Lake stands at the top of the list. Its waters display multiple colors at the same time: blue, green, yellow, and turquoise. Old trees that fell into the lake long ago still remain preserved on the lakebed and are clearly visible through the transparent water. It feels as though time itself has stopped here. Another natural wonder of the valley is Norilang Waterfall. Stretching nearly 300 meters in width, it is considered one of the most beautiful waterfalls in China. When thousands of liters of water plunge downward at once, the sound echoes throughout the entire valley. Fujian Tulou. If you are traveling through the mountains of southeastern China's Fujian province and suddenly come across giant circular buildings surrounded by lush green forests, your first thought might be that you have arrived at a movie set. From a distance, these structures look like fortresses, with thick earthen walls, very small windows, and an open courtyard at the center. But the moment you step inside, you realize that these are not forts, they are entire villages. These structures are known as Tulou. Word Tulou literally means earthen building, but in reality, they are far more than ordinary homes. Some of these buildings rise as high as 5 stories, some are completely circular, while others are square in shape. And most remarkably, hundreds of people once lived together inside a single Tulou. Around 800 years ago, the Hakka people began constructing these buildings. At the time, mountain communities often faced threats from bandits and invaders, so they built homes that could function as both a fortress and a village. In many places, the outer walls of a Tulou are more than 2 meters thick. The lower floors have almost no windows, while the upper levels provided clear views of the surrounding area. But the most fascinating aspect of a Tulou is not its architecture, it is the life that existed within it. Multiple generations lived together under one roof. The open courtyard at the center served as the heart of the community. Festivals were celebrated there, weddings were held there, and important decisions were made there. In other words, it was not just a building, but a small self-sustaining world of its own. Some of them are so large that they were capable of housing more than 600 people. Interestingly, no modern cement or steel was used in their construction. Built using earth, stone, wood, and traditional local building techniques, these structures continue to stand strong even today. Perhaps that is one of the reasons why UNESCO designated the Fujian Tulou as a World Heritage Site. There is also an interesting story associated with them. At one point, the United States reportedly mistook these villages for secret Chinese military missile warehouses. So, that's all for today. What did you think of unseen China and this hidden world filled with nature's wonders? If you had the opportunity, which place in China would you want to visit first? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please support us by liking and sharing it. And for more amazing videos like this, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and press the notification bell. Thank you for watching.